He liked being noticed.
Please, I want you tonight, honey. It's been a whole year since you even touched me.
I want a divorce. I'm with someone else now. Someone you could never compete with.
Boring, not classy, can't compete, don't need you.
Elias stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his cufflinks with the calm of a man who had never once questioned his own reflection. Tonight was the Havenbrook Foundation Gala, one of the most prestigious events of the year. And he wasn't going alone. He was going with Gemma Lux, a supermodel, a trophy on his arm that the whole world would notice. He liked that. He liked being noticed. But somewhere beneath all that polish and pride, something felt hollow. He just wasn't ready to admit it yet. The bedroom door opened softly behind him. Sophia. She walked in the way she always did, quietly, carefully, like a woman who had learned not to take up too much space. She had been patient for so long, too long. She crossed the room and placed her hand gently on his shoulder, her touch light, almost afraid. "Please," she whispered, "I want you tonight, honey. It's been a whole year since you even touched me." Elias turned slowly. He looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing. Or at least, he told himself he felt nothing. Without a word, he pushed her, not gently. He pushed her back onto the bed like she was something in his way. Sophia gasped. "I want a divorce," he said. His voice was flat, final. "You've never been classy, Sophia. I don't find you attractive anymore. I've been pretending to be happy in this marriage for years. But I'm not. I'm with someone else now, someone you could never compete with. Gemma Lux." He paused, letting the name land like a stone. "You're just a boring housewife. 3 years of marriage, and we've been intimate twice. Twice. I don't need you anymore. When I leave tonight, start packing your things." Then he turned back to the mirror, straightened his jacket, and walked out. The door clicked shut behind him. "Please, can I ask for a favor? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Your support means a lot and helps us bring you more exciting and heartfelt stories. Thank you. Now, let's dive into the story." And Sophia sat on the edge of the bed, completely still. The words hung in the air around her like smoke. Each one had found its mark. Boring, not classy, can't compete, don't need you. She had known something was wrong for a long time. She had felt the distance growing, felt the coldness spreading through their home like a slow winter. But hearing him say it out loud with such ease, such indifference, that was something different entirely. She didn't scream. She didn't break things. She sat there, and she felt it, all of it, the weight of 3 years, pressing down on her chest. But she didn't cry. Not yet. Because beneath the pain, something else was waking up. Sophia Belmont had not always been this quiet. She had not always been this invisible. Before this marriage, before she had softened herself to fit into Elias's world, she had been someone. She had built the Belmont Foundation, a charity that funded schools, sheltered refugees, and changed real lives. She had done it quietly, behind the scenes, while playing the role of the perfect supportive wife. No one at Elias's social events knew. No headlines, no credit, just the work and the lives it touched. She had given Elias everything, her time, her energy, her identity, and he had handed it all back to her in the form of a dismissal. She stood up slowly and walked to the mirror. The woman staring back at her looked tired, tear-stained, worn at the edges. Sophia studied her own face for a long moment, the way you study a stranger's. Then, softly, she raised her hand and reached out, her fingertips touching the glass. "You are beautiful," she whispered. The words felt foreign at first, awkward, like speaking a language she had forgotten, You are strong. Her voice steadied. You are worthy. She said it again and again, until it stopped feeling like a lie and started feeling like a fact she had simply misplaced. The pain was still there. It wasn't gone, but it no longer had her pinned. She picked up her phone. Her hands were trembling slightly as she scrolled through her contacts and stopped on a name. Herbert, Elias's business partner. A man who had always greeted her with genuine warmth in a world full of polished fakeness. A man who had always asked how she was and actually waited for the answer. She hesitated for just a moment, then called. It rang twice. Sophia? His voice came through immediately, warm and alert. What's wrong? She exhaled. It's Elias, she said, her voice cracking at the edges. He wants a divorce, Herbert. He said I'm boring, said I can't compete with Gemma Lux. He pushed me and told me to pack my things. Silence on the other end. A long, heavy silence. Sophia, Herbert said finally, his voice low and steady. You don't deserve that. None of that. Not a single word of it. She let out a shaky breath, pressing her fingers to her eyes. I don't know what to do. I thought maybe you could talk to him. Maybe make him see. Sophia. Herbert's voice was gentle, but firm. I'll try to speak with him. But tonight, please don't sit alone in that house. There's a gala tonight. Come with me. Not for him, not for anyone else. Just come out. You deserve one good evening. A pause. Let people see who you actually are. Sophia was quiet. The idea felt strange. Going out, looking presentable, pretending the world wasn't collapsing around her. And yet... Okay, she said softly. I'll be there. I'll send you the invitation right now, Herbert said. She could hear the relief in his voice. I'll be waiting at the entrance. I cannot wait to see you, Sophia. She lowered the phone slowly. The house was still. Elias was gone. The silence that had once felt suffocating now felt like something else, like space, like room to breathe. Sophia walked back to the mirror. This time, she didn't just look. She decided. She went to her wardrobe and began moving through the dresses slowly, her fingers brushing fabric after fabric. Then her hand stopped. Tucked at the back, wrapped in protective covering, untouched for months, was the gown. A deep blue masterpiece, custom made. $3 million of pure artistry. Silk so fine it moved like water. Beadwork so detailed it caught light like a sky full of stars. She had ordered it on a quiet afternoon, during a brief, hopeful moment, when she thought maybe, one day, Elias would look at her across a room and truly see her. That moment never came. But tonight was still a night she could choose. She unwrapped it carefully, like something sacred, held it up. The fabric cascaded through her fingers, and she felt her breath catch. She slipped into it. The fit was extraordinary, like it had been waiting specifically for this version of her. The version that had finally stopped shrinking. She stood straighter. Her shoulders settled back. She reached for her makeup, and her hands, for the first time all evening, were steady. She worked slowly, deliberately. A face she had ignored for too long now came alive under her own attention. Foundation, contour, a sweep of deep color at her eyes. Her hair fell in natural, elegant waves down her back. She added her diamond necklace, the one she'd bought with money from the Belmont Foundation's first successful fundraiser, a quiet celebration no one else had witnessed. Matching earrings, a bracelet that caught the light. She stepped back, and the woman in the mirror was someone she barely recognized, not because she had changed, but because she had returned. She walked to the phone and called her chauffeur. "Please prepare the car," she said, Her voice was calm, clear. "I'm leaving for the gala." "Yes, Mrs. Knight," came the reply. She took one last look around the bedroom, the room that had held so much silence, so many swallowed words, so many nights of waiting for a man who had already left long before tonight. She picked up her clutch and she walked out. If you are enjoying the story so far, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Your support means a lot and helps us bring you more exciting and heartfelt stories. Thank you. Back to the story. The Havenbrook Gala was everything it promised to be. The grand ballroom glittered with chandeliers and candlelight. Silk dresses and tailored suits moved through the crowd. Glasses clinked. Music floated through the air. It was the kind of room that was easy to disappear into if you let it. Sophia didn't let it. Herbert was exactly where he said he'd be, standing at the entrance, watching the door. The moment he saw her, he went completely still. His eyes moved from her face to the gown to her face again, and he shook his head slowly, the way people do when words don't come quickly enough. "Sophia," he said quietly, "you look like something out of a dream. I've never—" He paused, smiled. "Just look at you." She smiled back, and it reached her eyes, genuinely, fully. As they walked into the ballroom together, something shifted in the room. It wasn't dramatic. No music stopped, but heads turned, conversations paused mid-sentence. Eyes followed her. This woman in deep blue who moved like she had decided, once and for all, that she belonged. She wasn't Elias's wife tonight. She was Sophia Belmont. And the room could feel the difference. Across the ballroom, Elias stood beside Gemma Lux, a glass in hand, in the middle of a conversation he was no longer paying attention to, because he had seen her. The glass stopped halfway to his lips. His face changed, slowly, the way a man's face changes when he realizes something he cannot undo. That wasn't the woman he had pushed onto the bed that evening. That wasn't the quiet, hesitant creature he had dismissed with such ease. The woman standing across that ballroom, with her chin raised and her diamonds catching the light, and her eyes steady and clear, that was someone else entirely. Except she wasn't. She had always been this. He had just never bothered to look. Gemma noticed his silence and followed his gaze. She saw Sophia, and something shifted in her expression too. Not jealousy exactly, but something close to discomfort. Because this woman was not what she had imagined from Elias's descriptions. She was poised, she was graceful, she was magnetic without trying to be. And Gemma began to wonder, quietly, privately, what kind of man throws away a woman like that? Sophia walked calmly through the crowd, Herbert at her side, until she was close enough. Elias met her eyes. She held his gaze without flinching, without anger, without a single trembling lip. "Elias," she said, her voice smooth and unhurried. "I spoke to my lawyer this afternoon. The divorce papers will be delivered to you within the week." He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Herbert turned to Sophia then, and something in his expression had changed. The warmth was still there, but there was something deeper underneath it now. Something he had carried quietly for a long time. "Sophia," he began, his voice low, but steady enough for the small circle around them to hear. "I've respected your marriage. I kept my feelings to myself because I thought it was the right thing to do. But I won't keep quiet any longer." He paused, collecting himself. "I have watched you love a man who never took the time to understand what he had. I have watched you give and give and give and receive nothing." Another pause. "I don't want to watch anymore. I want to be the one standing beside you, not as a friend from a distance, as someone who chooses you every single day. If you'll let me. The air between them felt charged. Gemma stood beside Elias, and for the first time that evening, she was invisible. Every eye in that small circle, and several beyond it, were on Sophia. Elias felt it. He felt all of it. The weight of Herbert's words, the stillness of the crowd, the impossible, unbearable sight of Sophia, standing there, unbroken, being loved openly by a man who had no shame in it. Sophia looked at Herbert for a long moment. Then she smiled, soft, certain, and without a trace of doubt. "Herbert," she said, "you've been kind to me when kindness was rare. You've seen me when I had made myself invisible." She tilted her head slightly. "Yes, I'd like to know you better, truly." She took his hand, and they walked, past the crowd, past the chandelier light, past Elias, who stood rooted to the floor, watching them go. Gemma touched his arm, and he barely felt it, because all he could see was Sophia, laughing softly at something Herbert had said, her blue gown shimmering with every step, her hand in another man's hand, alive in a way that made his chest hurt, alive in a way he had never once tried to bring out of her. The ballroom doors opened, and the cool night air met them. Outside, under a vast sky filled with stars and a low, full moon, Sophia and Herbert walked slowly. Their voices were soft, and their laughter was genuine. When Herbert turned to her, and she looked up at him, it felt natural, the way things do when they're real. He kissed her gently under the moonlight. From a distance, Elias watched, tears streaming down his face. His hand covered his mouth, then rested on his head. It was too late. He had lost his wife to another man. Inside, Gemma Lux reached into her clutch and placed a folded note in Elias's hand. Then, without a word, she gathered her things and walked away. Elias opened the note. It read, "I cannot be with a man who treats his wife this way. If that is how you love, I want no part of it." He stood there, alone, in the middle of a glittering ballroom full of people, with a note in his hand and an empty space beside him where two women used to be. Once again, in this ballroom, Elias Knight wept, not the quiet cry of a man who is tired, the deep, broken cry of a man who finally understands what he has done and knows with complete certainty that it is too late. The divorce was finalized a few days later. No drama, no last-minute calls, just signatures and silence. Herbert proposed on a quiet evening. No grand gestures, no audience, just the two of them. A ring, a simple question, and words that were as honest as the moment itself. Sophia said yes before he even finished speaking. They married. They built something real. Something that allowed her to stay fully herself without fading away. 9 months later, they welcomed twins into the world, a new chapter filled with love. Elias heard of it the way people learn about what they once let go, from afar, too late, with no words left to offer. Sophia Belmont had never needed saving. She simply needed one evening to remember who she truly was. And from that night on, she never forgot again. If you enjoyed this love story, please like, comment, and subscribe to see more heartfelt tales. Your support helps us continue creating the stories that make your heart race.